All right, so this is a weird video for me because I just made several videos raving about how much I love my Ego lawnmower. This is going to be a video about how I came to the conclusion to return my Ego lawnmower and go back to gas. All right, so I've done something crazy. I went ahead and returned the Ego, the twin blade lawnmower, and I ended up getting this. Long story short, as great as the Ego twin blade lawnmower is, and it is really good at cutting grass, it had some shortcomings that just kept eating at me over time. I just couldn't let go. Ego, it's a battery powered, great lawnmower. It's really, really good at cutting grass, but it's not the greatest. I recently got a used Honda HRX217, and that blew the Ego out of the water when it comes to cut quality. It cut way better than the Ego. Then it comes to other items, like for example, the battery. You know, it's a battery powered, it has a great quick charger, but for me, I'm in this for the long run. I like to keep my lawnmowers more at the minimum 5 years. If I can go longer than that, ideally, I want to keep my lawnmowers for 10 years. Ego, to me, just doesn't seem like a 10-year-old lawnmower. It seems to me about a lawnmower within 4 to 5 years, I probably will be in the market for a new lawnmower. And then the thing that really irked me was the $350 battery. In 3 to 4 years, when that battery to lose its oomph, what am I going to do? I'm going to spend $350 on another battery? I mean, that's the price of a mid-grade lawnmower. You can get yourself a whole new gas lawnmower mid-grade. And that's what really irked me is it was a great lawnmower. It was twin blade. It was made out of plastic. And I really like the plastic. And I'll get to that in a bit. But I just couldn't do it. It's just like long-term. I want a lawnmower just like how I did with my original Husqvarna that I bought back in 2011. I had that for about 7 to 8 years. And Ego, great lawnmower. I just don't know if I'm going to have it for that long. Now, the other thing that happened is when quarantine hit, one of the hobbies I recently picked up was fixing lawnmowers. And I got really good at fixing lawnmowers. One of the reasons why I switched to electric initially was because I got so tired and fed up dealing with gas lawnmowers. But now, with quarantine, I've had a lot of time on my hands to tinker around with lawnmowers, and I've gotten pretty good at it. I'm actually really confident. So I am no longer scared of gas. I know how they work. I typically know how to troubleshoot these things. So this is where this HRX comes into play. I wanted a plastic deck. I had a lot of issues having a steel deck with my previous gas lawnmower. My original gas lawnmower, which got me started in all this, was a Husqvarna with a Honda engine. It had a GCV 190 engine, but it was a Husqvarna frame. The engine never gave me problems, but the deck just had so many issues because it was just rusting left and right. Despite my best efforts in preserving and cleaning it and getting rid of grass clippings, it was just poorly made. I got tired of that, bought the Ego, got buyer's remorse, especially when it comes to the battery, and this is what I ended up getting. Figuring out get the best of both worlds. First of all, this is the brand new GCV 200 engine. This is supposedly fewer parts and much more reliable and powerful than the GCV 190 that it's replacing. And this plastic deck. I know some people don't like plastic decks, but I'm all for plastic decks. Why am I all for plastic decks? Well, going back years from ago, when I was a kid growing up in a townhouse, I didn't have a big yard. We had an electric lawnmower. It was a corded lawnmower, which worked great in that application. And it had a plastic deck, and that thing lasted forever. I never gave me any problems. I think all we ever did was just, manually sharpen the blade, and that was about it. That thing was a tank. And that's why I'm all for plastic decks, because I never dealt with rust until I went to a gas mower when I bought my house in my early 20s. Now, the unfortunate thing, this thing is a little dirty, and here I am with a rag cleaning it because this was the floor model. This thing is in such high demand. Because of COVID, the factories that are producing this, because these things are made in the US, I believe they were shut down for quite some time, so their stock is extremely low. I really, really want the model that has the blade stop and a different transmission. And you know what? If it becomes available in a couple months, I'm going to go ahead and swap this out. But I used my Ego credit. I bought Ego at Home Depot at full price. And I was able to use that to pretty much get this. I still have a few dollars in credits left because this was the base model. So I pretty much swapped it out. Returned the Ego. Now this is what I have right now. This has absolutely no oil in it and no gasoline. And this is going to be the one and only time I ever tilt it the opposite way. You never want to do it that way with the filter down. Let's take a look at this. I mean, you see how it's dusty. It's never been used. It's just, this is dust. That's just dust. It's been sitting on the floor shelf for quite some time. But twin blades, I'm gonna oil this thing up, put some gasoline, start it for the very first time. All right, so this is the reason why I got this. This is the best combination. I love the Ego because it was plastic and twin blade. I didn't like the Ego because it was a battery powered, even though it was probably one of the most powerful battery powered electric lawnmowers out there. It wasn't powerful enough. This plastic checks the box. Twin blades checks the box. It has a GCV 200 engine in it. I'm undecided whether or not I'm gonna do this, but over here is the governor. And if need be, I can adjust the RPM of this. So if I want more power, if I want these blades to spin a little bit more, maybe adding an extra 100 or 200 RPM to the governor just for fall. I don't think I'm gonna need to do that, especially with this engine being as powerful as it is. With the Ego, I was an early adopter. I bought the Ego actually the end of 2019, before it was even available. It was back ordered. I had to wait for it to actually ship out in January. I don't know why I did that. You can't cut grass in January, but I was so excited. I really, really wanted to get this Ego lawnmower. I fell in love with it, and I saw the ad for it, and I was like, you know what? I gotta get myself this Ego lawnmower. So I jumped the gun way before spring. I wanted to be one of the first people to have the Ego, and I actually got to use it in January and February. I actually used it to mulch some of the leftover leaves, you know, the leaves that fall in the winter. After fall has come, there's still a few stragglers out there for a couple branches. I used it and I was a little disappointed because it didn't do a good job compared to my gas mower. I did have to put it at the lowest setting, and to me it was a compromise because I was okay with mulching at the lowest setting with the Ego lawnmower because I had already full intention of dethatching and reseeding my lawn in early spring. But I was disappointed in that. I was like, am I always gonna have to put the Ego lawnmower at the lowest setting whenever I wanna mulch leaves? Lithium-ion batteries, they don't last forever. They do have a shelf life. With the Ego lawnmower, they give you a 5-year warranty on the lawnmower, but they only give you a 3-year warranty on the batteries. I mean, these guys know that lithium-ion batteries will eventually start to lose their charge. They will still charge up, they will still power your lawnmower, but they won't be as powerful as they were fresh out the box. So for me, you know, thinking very long term, I want one lawnmower. I just only want one lawnmower that can do everything. And the Ego, as great as it was at cutting grass, and I gotta tell you, it was better than my last gas lawnmower. It was really poor at mulching leaves in winter when I did my initial test. Looking at it from my perspective, I've spent $650 on the lawnmower itself. And yes, it was $650 for me because I bought it in winter before it went on sale. Plus adding an additional $350 for a battery 2 or 3 years down the line. I'm already $1,000 in. And it just didn't make sense for me. I mean, that's where I decided, you know what, let's go ahead and switch back to gas. And that's how I ended up with this conclusion. Now, in my previous video, I bought a used Honda lawnmower in great shape and brought it back to life. And in that video, I mentioned how Ego was going to be my main lawnmower and how I was going to have Honda as a backup. Shortly after that video, I just kept eating me up inside as, why do I have 2 lawnmowers? Nothing against Ego. I think Ego is a great lawnmower. It's really good at cutting grass if you have a small lot. Now, I don't have that huge of a lot either. I have a 1/4 acre lot, but I have a lot of leaves, and a lot of my neighbors have trees that overhang, and I get a lot of twigs and branches. And when we have bamboo in my backyard, and those things eventually have to be cut down. You have to mulch them up really nicely and get rid of all the branches and then cut them up into pieces with loppers. But anyways, I need a lawnmower that can not only cut grass, but that can mulch leaves and that can mulch branches and take a beating. So, hello Honda. I've now adopted to this. I'm gonna go ahead and use this lawnmower as my main lawnmower. All right, so I use a hedge trimmer and I trimmed up my little pine tree I have here. Here are a bunch of clippings. This is the type of stuff where the Ego, it did okay. It just didn't do a great job. And I'm gonna go ahead and try to bag it up with the HRX217. All right, first pass, picked up quite a bit. You can see a clear line from the clippings over to the grass.
All right, so in summary, the Ego was a great lawnmower. It just wasn't for me. Unfortunately, I didn't know what my grass cutting needs were up until recently when I got the Ego. So if I can create a wish list that would make the perfect Ego lawnmower, because I am still a fanboy of the electric lawnmower, believe it or not, these are only two things that Ego will need to do to be able to convert people like me. Number one, give us a bigger battery, the 10 milliamp battery. If I'm looking for something that will last many years and I don't have to worry about buying a new battery. If I'm giving a 10 milliamp battery, even if that 10 milliamp battery loses 20 or maybe 25% of its charge long term, it will be more than enough to power my electric lawnmower for years to come. The other second option that I would wish to see is something similar that they already have on their leaf blower, a turbo option, something to be able to manually override the lawnmower and ramp up the RPMs and get me that extra speed and that extra suction whenever it is that I'm going to go ahead and mulch. I understand completely why you don't want to have an electric lawnmower running at turbo speeds all the time. It will drain your battery, but if it had a little button where I can just give it a little bit of extra oomph and ramp up those speeds a little bit more manually and mulch any clippings or branches or leaves, I think that would make the perfect electric lawnmower. But until that day comes, right now, I'm just going to be a fanboy of Honda. I'm sorry, Honda does a really great job at cutting grass, at mulching. It's just I'm won over by them. And we'll see how many years of use I can get out of this. And I'm so far happy with it.